Hey everyone, I am Robin the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth, and today we are going to talk about interview questions to ask a copywriter. Now you might be thinking, hey, isn't this copywriting channel for copywriters and not necessarily the people who hire them? And the answer is yes, but if you are a copywriter, you can learn a lot from this video because the questions that someone might ask you, you should know how to answer. So it works for copywriters. It also works for people who are thinking about hiring a copywriter, whether it's for a freelance gig or even a full-time gig, but I'm focusing more on freelance copywriters. So let's get to it, shall we? Okay, question number one, probably pretty basic, but tell me about your experience as a copywriter, specifically about in regards to the project that we're discussing. That's a good question to ask. Now, here's the thing. Of course, you're going to want to know their background. You're going to want to see samples of their work. So ask them for, their web access to their website portfolio, a link, that sort of thing. Here's the thing. If they don't have specific experience in the project you're looking for, don't necessarily, toss them aside. They could still very well be perfect fit for it. A good copywriter can get up to speed on whatever the project is. So an example, maybe the copywriter you're talking to does a lot of website copywriting, a lot of email marketing, a lot of social media marketing, a lot of branding. Like they get copywriting, they're a good copywriter, you like their style. But maybe the project you have in mind is writing descriptions for an online catalog or something like that. It's quite possible that copywriter could do a great job. Maybe they haven't done something like that before, but they could still deliver. So don't necessarily, like I said, toss the person aside just because they don't have experience in the project. Now, there are some exceptions. If you are looking to redo your website, it does make sense to work with a copywriter who has experience with SEO copywriting because it takes time to learn search engine optimization and to do website copywriting. So you might not necessarily want to work with someone who maybe is just a direct response copywriter and that's all they've ever done before. I find that copywriters today, especially freelancers, tend to be generalists, meaning that they have done a variety of stuff. They're a jack of all trades. Back, maybe 20, 30 years ago, you had like direct response copywriters, you had sales letter copywriters, things like that. It's really changed with digital marketing because we kind of have to be able to do it all. And we do it all. So like I said, if for some reason you're talking to a copywriter who's done more with websites and email, but you need them to do something maybe with print, they probably still should be considered. And, if you have a good feel for them, or if you just have a good feel about them, good feel for them, if you have a good feel about them and you like their work, you might want to give them a try. So that's my long-winded explanation to question number one. Okay, question number two. How do you approach writing for a new client or a new industry? Here's the thing. Sometimes you're talking to a copywriter and they might not have any experience in your industry or with your business. And again, that's okay too, with some exceptions. I think if you're in a highly technical business, it does make sense sometimes to work with a copywriter who has that experience because there's less of a learning curve. But again, if you're talking to a copywriter and you really like their work and you got a good feel for them and you got a good feel about them, I just keep saying a good feel for them. You have a good feel about them, you're getting along, you like their samples. A good writer can get up to speed quickly unless it's something that's highly, highly technical. Then, there could be a long learning curve and it might make sense to use someone who has that experience. You have to decide that. They can get up to speed on what your business is about. A good copywriter can. But it's always good to know their approach. So that's why you ask that question. Ask the question, like, how do you approach working with a new client or an industry you're not familiar with, and listen to what they say. Does it make sense? Is their answer, does it make sense to you? Like, yeah, that's going to help them get up to speed quickly. So that's what you're looking for when you ask that question. Okay, question number three would apply to anything that's done online where you're looking to capture organic search or even with paid ads. Website projects are such a big thing that people are often looking for freelance copywriters for. So this is why I'm including this question. How do you balance SEO, which is search engine optimization, with creative writing or capturing the brand's voice? Because that's not necessarily easy. Creating a homepage that's compelling and engaging, or maybe just doesn't have a ton of copy, but yet it's optimized for a particular keyword phrase, that takes talent. So that's a fair question, especially if you're doing a website project, and an important question. And if someone doesn't seem to really know what SEO is, or they make it sound like it's not important, you might want to just move along. Okay, number 4 is the process question. What is your process for creating a new piece of content? Or what would your approach be for this project that we're discussing? You don't have to hear every single step, but you want to kind of get a sense of how does this writer work, and will it gel with your workflows? Whether it's your team or the way you do business, or if you're talking on behalf of a boss, you'll get a sense pretty quickly if this person is probably going to gel or jive with the workflows that you have in your company. And you'll get a good feel. I can't tell you like this is what you need to look for in an answer. You just have to, I think, look for something that actually makes logical sense. And if you feel like there's a red flag, listen to your gut, because you're probably right. Okay, question number 5. How do you incorporate revisions? How do you request feedback, or what's your process for getting feedback and requesting feedback, and how do you incorporate revisions? That's important. And not easy. Like asking for feedback, incorporating feedback, that's always a very delicate dance. Good writers aren't precious about their words. Good copywriters, I should say. With fiction writers, it might be a little different. But we're not precious about our words. Like, we get that our job is to get it right. And if you're not happy with it, or if you don't feel it's going to work, or if it's not working, like it's, you put it out there and you test it and something needs to change, like we want to get it right too. So, and we get to that a lot of times. And this is true for copywriting. It's collaborative. Like there are usually many different fingerprints on a piece of content, because there are different eyes on it and different goals. And sometimes there are a lot of people involved in the feedback process, and we get that. So you want to hear what their approach is, and you might want to hear what they request. And a good thing to listen for is, and this is something I do, when getting feedback from a client, I ask how many stakeholders are involved, how many people are involved in the feedback process, because if you have too many cooks in the kitchen, that can make getting feedback kind of, really go off the rails quickly. So I always say, if there's more than, 1 or 2 people giving feedback, you guys discuss it internally, compile your feedback into one set of requests, and then get it to me, and then I shall, revise accordingly. Because sometimes what happens, the people who, if there are 3 to 5 people in your company who are trying to figure out, what you want, you have to have a consensus with your company first before you can then give your revision requests to the writer. So listen to how they approach it, and then you want it in the back of your mind that's how you should be approaching it when you're giving your revision request to a writer. So something to think about. Okay, question number 6. I kind of touched on this with some of my other points, but what tools and resources do you use to complete your writing projects? So if you are talking to someone who's going to be working on your website, for example, you might ask them, what is your go-to keyword research tool? And they should have an answer for that. Mine is Semrush. I have a paid account. It doesn't have to be Semrush, but they should have a keyword research tool. They should know how to do that. Do they have, do they use a writing assistant? I use Grammarly to put all my copy through for grammar and punctuation and just style. So you want to hear what they say, the tools, and you might be surprised by some of the tools, but they should have tools. They should be using either Microsoft Word or Google Docs. You want to get a sense of, that this is a legit writer who treats it as a business, who has a process in place, who has the tools they need to do the best job for you. So again, you'll get a sense pretty quickly if you're dealing with a professional and someone who's been around, or someone who, even if they haven't been around a long time, they get it, and they have, put together a business and they're ready to hit the ground running. So, and if there's a specific tool that you need them to use, you should be upfront about that. Like if you do all of your collaboration in like Monday or Basecamp or whatever it is, you need to let the writer know that, and they might have questions, or maybe they are familiar with it, and you can have a conversation about that. But you should be transparent as well. Okay, question number 7. How do you make sure that the writing you do fits our brand voice, that you capture the voice of our brand and who we're talking to? See what they say. I think different writers are going to have different approaches and different things, but they should have an answer. They shouldn't just be going, well, for me, what I'll do is I will, review the clients, all of their collateral, from their website to marketing brochure, social media, to get a sense of who they are. I'll ask if they have a style guide and a brand guide. We'll talk about the voice. We'll talk about the tone. We'll talk about, and you'll get a sense from just reading the website, as to what the voice is. Now, if they're looking to change their voice, that's a different discussion. But again, you want to just see there should be a sparkle in their eye, because we love talking about branding and voice and, capturing it and maybe helping you go into a different direction that might be a different way that you hadn't thought about doing it, or, maybe continuing on with the great way and the voice that you have developed and bringing it to the next level. So listen to what they say, see if it makes sense, see if you feel good about the answer. Again, a lot of this is a gut check. Like you're going to know if you're talking to someone that you want to work with who seems to have, the skills that you're looking for. And of course, you're always going to want to then double check it against their actual portfolio, because, the writing, the proof is in the writing in this case. So you're going to want to look at their samples and look at their examples and ask yourself, gee, I really like their style, or gee, that's really interesting how they did that. Oh, wow, they have quite a variety of categories that they do copywriting wise, not just websites, but also email, maybe social media, branding and case studies and white papers. So you're going to get a good sense of whether you're talking to someone, you want to work with. Okay. And finally, question number 8, the money question. What's your approach to charging, or how do you charge? Now, here's the thing. I always counsel new writers to give project quotes and not hourly rates. I just don't believe in hourly rates. It doesn't serve you, the client. It does not serve the writer. So project quotes are the best thing that you can do, that the writer can do for you and that you can do for the writer. Don't expect or ask for quarterly, for hourly quotes. And the reason why is because, you're not going to be able to help it. You're going to be like, really? It's going to take you 3 hours to do that? Can't you do it in 2? Like, you can't help it. And like, the thing is, the copywriter is they're delivering value to you. So that's what you have to remember. Like, they're giving you a piece of content that can, a blog post isn't just something you put up once and it stops working. Like, that works for you. That could be bringing in traffic. That traffic could then, become a customer. So you have to think of it that way. There's value in that content that the writer is bringing to you, and they should charge accordingly. And then you know where you stand. Like, if you're having them write a 10-page website and it's X amount, it's like, okay, I know what that is. I can budget for that. But here's the thing. If you're working with a writer who does come back with an hourly rate and everything else, you like everything else about them, I'm not going to say, like, don't use them because it's an hourly rate, because I know there's some writers who do that. You might just want to say, hey, instead of an hourly rate, can we agree on a project quote? And they might actually be happy to do that, because, it just serves them better. But you want to hear their process for charging. Do they ask for a down payment? What are their terms? How many rounds of revisions? All that sort of good stuff. And they should be giving you an actual written proposal that you have to review and sign. That's what you're looking for, because, this is a business and you want to do things, in a very professional way. Okay, so there you have it. 8 interview questions that you can ask copywriters when you're talking to freelancers about your copywriting project. Hopefully this video actually made sense. The questions, I'm going to be including a link to a blog post that's going to recap everything. So in case this video is kind of all over the place, you can go down to the link and you'll see all the questions listed out with some bullet points. And that might be, you can print that out and keep that with you. But use these questions as your guideline. If you have a good feel, a good sense, and of course, always look at their portfolio. That's the thing. You have to look at the portfolio, look at the samples, make sure you get excited by the writing. And if everything else feels good, then you probably have a good copywriter in front of you. And maybe you'll have a good, long-lasting relationship like me and Stewie. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, just move along. I am Robin the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth, and we will see you next time.